our next guest speaker. But first, did you know that only 1% of members in the United States Air Force are pilots? And fewer than those are female pilots. Our speaker today understands what it means to live life by putting others and their needs above herself, much as you will during the course of your health career. She has courageously served in the United States Air Force for 23 years, traveling overseas and fighting for the freedom of those she may never meet. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you your commencement speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Bethany Slack.
What an incredible day. I am truly honored to be here and to have this opportunity to recognize you and honor you for this significant accomplishment in your lives and for the impact it'll have on your future endeavors and careers. I hope this day is being shared with those that are most important to you, your friends, your families, your loved ones, whether they're sitting in this room, watching from afar, or with you in spirit. Know that they are proud of you, just as I am on this day. Before I begin, I've got to throw out a couple disclaimers. First, I'm not a trained public speaker, so I thank you in advance for giving me some grace today. And although I'm an active duty officer in the Air Force, I'm not speaking on behalf of the Air Force, so all my comments are my personal opinion. Second, as a career military member, I've never had to make a decision before on what I should wear to work, since I've worn the same uniform, which is a flight suit, every day for 23 years. I don't know if we've got, let's see here. Do we have slides up, Marie? We'll give that a second to come up, hopefully, but trying to decide what to wear today was equally as intimidating as talking to a room of 1,000 people. So, not to mention my preferred footwear is combat boots and not heels. So as long as we're good on those, I can continue. So what you would see right now is a picture of me in a flight suit, which is basically like a big pair of adult footy pajamas. All right. Now I realize I don't know probably any of you, but except for your academic dean who asked me to speak today. But please know that I'm sincere when I say that I'm extremely proud of you for accomplishing your goals and dreams and receiving your degree certificates today. When I was in your shoes 23 years ago and receiving my bachelor's degree, I don't think I gave myself enough credit for what I had just accomplished, the sacrifices I made in getting there, and for the impact it would have on the rest of my life. I want to start with a quote. Challenges are what make life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. I am certain for you that achieving this accomplishment was not an easy road. Whether it was financial circumstances, family, age, gender, race, births, deaths, jobs, hardships, good fortunes, just life happening to you every day. There were probably days where you told yourself, I can't do this. I'm not ready. The timing is not right. I can't afford this. I'm too busy. I'm too young. I'm too old. You fill in the blank. But something still drove you throughout it all. If you don't already, you will feel a tremendous amount of pride knowing that you achieved something that was challenging. It wasn't handed to you. Someone else didn't do the work for you, and it has made your life more meaningful. Whether you realized it or not, you probably did this by following 3 seemingly simple concepts that have guided my life. Number 1, you can't give what you don't have. Number 2, follow your heart. And number 3, believe that you are where you are meant to be. I'll explain more and come back to those later. When I asked your dean, Kara Jeremiah, to give me some information about what you and Carrington College was all about and what the graduating class of 2023 was, I was excited to learn that some of the degrees received among you today include nursing, dental, medical, and physical therapy assistants, as well as several others. And at the start of your journey here, you were told, turn your one day into day one. I really like that motto. Turn your one day into day one. I once aspired to become a physical therapist, which what influenced my decision to go to the college that I chose to attend, the College of St. Catherine in St. Paul, Minnesota. A little about the College of St. Catherine. It was and still is an all-women's institution. A Catholic college that at the time still had nuns as part of the faculty, but has now grown into one of the largest private women's universities in the nation. They were well known for their physical therapy program, occupational therapy, and nursing, and after a visit to the campus, I was drawn like a moth to a flame. I knew I was meant to go there. So I came home, told my parents I had picked my college, and they sat me down as I was ready to start that next chapter and hesitantly told me, we don't have enough money to send you to college. Thankfully, I was quite fierce and formidable, really more like naive but determined, and I said I was going to do it anyway and do whatever it took to go there, which meant taking out large amounts of money in the form of school loans. And that fall, I went off to college pursuing my goal to become a physical therapist and jumped right into my first semester with classes of biology, chemistry, math, and the reflective woman, which is a requisite class probably only required by an all-women's college. In that first semester, I worked hard, balancing my academics with a work-study job and was also playing volleyball for the school, but was managing decent grades. I had a strong outlook on my physical therapy future until an accident occurred in our family. My cousin, that was 1 year older than me, lost his life in a car accident. Family being a top priority in my life came first, and I missed some school and volleyball matches when I went to his funeral on the East Coast. When it came time to receive my grades for my first semester, I discovered that I had received a B+ in biology, not because of my academic ability, but because lab attendance was part of the overall grade, and I had missed a lab to attend his funeral that could not be made up. My assigned advisor told me I would never get into medical school with those grades. My dream of becoming a physical therapist was shot down in my first semester, and even worse than receiving that news that I wouldn't make it, I believed it. My day one did not start off as I expected. I had a challenge in front of me that I had to overcome to achieve my one-day dream. I was sent on a meaningless path without focus of what I would do, what I should study, so I took electives across all disciplines: sociology, foreign language, psychology, aerobics with soul. Yes, that was actually the name of the class. And after almost 2 years, I accumulated thousands of dollars of debt, all while depleting direction and motivation in where my life was going and what degree I would eventually decide on. But I never stopped working hard, both in my studies and in my multiple jobs that I held in an attempt to offset that money I was spending. It wasn't until the summer between my sophomore and junior year that I regained focus on my path of what my one day would be. While working one of my jobs that was in the catering department with a fellow classmate, she told me about the Air Force ROTC program that she was joining the next fall. I was fascinated to learn about the program, the core values they stood by, and the opportunities available in the military following graduation. My all-women's college did not have the program, so I enrolled in a nearby co-ed school, which added an extra element of excitement now that I was a crosstown student. And even better, I could apply for a scholarship. I first tried to get a medical scholarship with the thought that I could reinvigorate my passion of what I went to school for in the first place. I was told there were not any scholarships available in medicine, but I could apply for a scholarship to become a pilot. So I thought that sounded pretty cool and was a pretty good consolation. Now, it wasn't completely as out of left field as it sounds. In those wandering years, I'll call them, I got into skydiving. And as a side note, if you're looking to develop a new zest for life and also scare the heck out of yourself, I would recommend it. Many of the jump masters I dove with were also pilots. I too wanted to pursue my private pilot's license, but it was way too expensive, and I was only able to afford my costly skydiving habit by convincing other students they had to try it. For every 5 people I brought to jump with me, I earned a free skydive. Needless to say, I brought a lot of other women from my school, usually in groups of 25, and started working towards my Class A skydiving license, 5 jumps at a time. Anyway, I digress. I gave what I had, an optimistic, hardworking attitude, and a lot of perseverance. I was genuine about what I was interested and passionate about. I shared it with others, used it for good and not evil. So, back to ROTC. I finally had a focus. I finally had a new goal and a passion to work for. I finally had a one-day goal again. I completed the ROTC program, received a degree in mathematics and a minor in biology, and graduated at the top of my small ROTC class. I was offered the opportunity to go to pilot training, which came with a 10-year commitment to serve in the Air Force. Initially balked at that, hesitant to commit 10 years of my life to the military, and what felt like forever in my early 20s, until a peer of mine just jovially strutted up, shrugged his shoulders, and said, "You gotta do something for 10 years. So I agreed. I shrugged my shoulders, walked forward, signed my name on the dotted line. I followed my heart and let my priorities guide my decisions. This led to a year of undergraduate pilot training. There we go. So I'm the one on the far right, in case you can't recognize me with my short hair, which led to receiving an assignment, flying the F-16. A single-seat, multi-role fighter jet, fighter aircraft, which eventually culminated in me flying 40 combat missions over Iraq and over 900 hours total in the aircraft over a 4-year period. My pilot training class established our class motto as, "I will find a way or I'll make one." It was actually in Latin, so it sounded much more sophisticated, but I had no idea at the time how much that motto would hold true for so many situations in my life that I would face throughout my career, really in everyday life. It has become a personal mantra of sorts. I will find a way, or I will make one. Believe it or not, the flying was the easy part. Overcoming other challenges like wearing a uniform and life support equipment that was solely designed for a man's body and physiological makeup, and yes, I'm referring to trying to go to the bathroom, flying in a cockpit that is not much wider than the chairs you are sitting in right now, which is the picture here is a picture of the F-16 cockpit. Flying 10 hours straight across the Atlantic Ocean. Also wearing so much life support equipment. There we go. So much life support equipment while you're in that cockpit that I could barely raise my arms. So that's a whole other discussion, dealing with adversity, that's for another day. But my point is, I persevered, did my best not to be discouraged. I was not going to let social norms, adversity, roadblocks, several other various challenges stand in my way. And that picture on the left is one of me flying over Egypt, refueling from a KC-10. Picture is taken from the tanker, and on the right, taking a selfie of my flying over the Atlantic Ocean, 20,000 feet. The next 6 years would bring 2 more deployments to Iraq, 1 to Afghanistan, over 2,000 hours flying in various aircraft, and lots of dedication poured into my service. Looking back on that experience, sometimes I say, dang, did I do that? I barely know that person anymore. I take much more calculated risks now that I'm a wife and a mother of 2 amazing humans that depend on me to come home every day. My wish for all of you is that you look back on this experience and on your lives and say, dang, I did that. 23 years later, here I am. I fly remotely piloted aircraft now, or RPAs for short, that still allow me to fly, teach, train, and serve my country. I'm still a pilot in the Air Force, and I wouldn't change a single thing. All right, maybe a few things, but not many. I'm here for a reason. Along the way, I got married, and my husband and I decided to start a family when my 10-year flying commitment was up. I initially made the decision to separate from the Air Force to be a stay-at-home mom, but I couldn't wrap my mind around the thought of taking off the uniform. So I joined the Air Force Reserves for a bit, and after serving in the reserves for 9 years, I was asked to come back on active duty to fill a position as a squadron commander. It became my responsibility to teach and train the next generation of advanced RPA pilots and combat system officers, and to lead 40+ men and women in that mission. I told myself, I'm not ready to do this. I'm too busy. I don't have the training or experience. I'm too old. I'm not worthy of this responsibility. The challenges and overwhelming number of decisions I had to make and faced on a daily basis started from day one and continued through my 2 years of command. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I was meant to be there, and the challenges made my life more meaningful. The disappointments, failures, and roadblocks early on and throughout were necessary for me to be who I am today. I discovered that sometimes when you don't get what you want, there is something better in store for you. If someone tells you no, just think of the word as an acronym instead. N-O, meaning next opportunity. Was I disappointed that my advisor told me I would never get into medical school? Yes, at the time, but I got over it. I wasn't the top pilot, most recognized wingman, or wingwoman in my case, or most experienced officer, but I made a name for myself and built a reputation for being a hard worker, someone who was accountable and could be depended on, and I did it while keeping my priorities in check. And the even better part is I can still pursue my dream to be a physical therapist when I grow up, because it's never too late to start. I'm excited for those of you that are going forward today and getting the opportunity to become what you came here to do and to be. I was informed that there's a 70-year-old graduate in this class earning her degree. I'm so inspired by you.
74 years old, just graduate, one of the class, 2023.
I'm so inspired by you and would love to hear your story
so
sometime,
yeah.
because I can only imagine how incredible it must be.
Education has no limitation. You can always go
what you don't have. So
wherever
take
you
care of
want,
yourself.
no matter
I
how
learned
old
this
you are.
class teaching pre-K on Sundays at my church. If I don't have myself in order, how am I going to keep it together in front of a bunch of 3 to 5-year-olds when it comes to showing patience, grace, love, self-discipline, kindness, and self-control? Self-care is for real. Just like most electronics, when they aren't working properly, turn them off, pause, turn them on again. So you need to turn things off once in a while for yourselves too. Number 2, follow your heart. Maybe. There we go. You set and kept priorities in your life, all while overcoming adversities to achieve this goal of graduating today. You climbed a mountain. It may have taken you 4 years or 4 decades, but you made it to the top, and I hope you enjoyed the views along the way. And number 3, believe you are where you are meant to be, always, even when it wasn't part of the original plan. In closing, As you go forward in this next chapter in your lives, and you are faced with challenges every day in life and in the additional goals you want to achieve, I hope that my personal motto comes to your mind. I will find a way or make one, and know that your life will be more meaningful because of it. Congratulations, graduating class of 2023.
All right, thank you. That's a beautiful speech.
You have made it from day one to day done. Thank you.
All